At Hope Church, we are always talking about what it means to follow, grow, and live for Jesus. But what does that actually look like in your day to day life? Follow along with me, Jenny Miles, as we talk to members of our Hope team, partners of our church, as well as staff members, as they share real life examples of what it looks like to be on journey with Jesus. Get inspired, be empowered, and experience the joy of serving Jesus through Hope Talks. All right, guys, welcome to Hope Talks. This is episode 8. Easter at Hope Part 2, and I'm joined today with Pastor Doug Duggins and his wonderful daughter, Leanne Duggins. So it's really fun that there's like a dynamic duo here, that you guys are father-daughter situation. But the cool thing about it is that Leanne is actually an intern here at Hope, and she gets to intern with me. And so she makes my life so much easier and better and more fruitful, being in the connections area with me. So thank you for that. Yeah, I'm glad y'all are here. Doug is the operations pastor here at Hope. So what does that mean?
Oh,
Because I think everybody is like,
yeah. What do you do here?
fancy guy. What's
I
that?
second that. What is that?
That's fancy. Well, it's not really that fancy. I oversee all the finances for the church, and I also oversee the facilities. And I get opportunity to work with every single ministry in the church to make sure they have all the things that they need.
Well, that was really simple.
That was really simple.
On a Sunday morning, where could we find you?
Nowhere.
Yeah,
And everywhere.
everywhere, all the places, all the time.
Yeah.
Don't ask me where he is either, because I don't know.
Everybody goes to Leanne and says, "Hey, where's your dad?"
Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
Right? Yeah.
I like to either be in a huddle meeting with our security team guys because I lead that ministry, and then I also like to be by the doors when people are coming in and when people are leaving.
Right.
And then that's where I want to be.
That's where I find you sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then then things happen.
Yeah.
Hey, we can't. This doesn't work. Can you look at this? Or I need to be over here in this place.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm on stage and
Right.
so I don't get to do
and then
those
we never
things.
see you because
Gone.
we are not usually in the service, except for maybe a little bit, at one point in the
There's
morning.
pieces and
Pieces of the youth service that we get to attend. But yeah, that's on a Sunday that you're on stage. I'm like, I don't think Doug was here today. And then
I rode with him, but like that's the last time I saw him.
right.
Just a drop off.
Exactly. I think he went home. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad you are here. I know that sometimes, when you talk a lot, you get thirsty. And so I have provided drinks for you guys. And so the very first drink that I would like to give out is yours, Doug. I don't know if you remember this, but it's probably been 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe. I don't know. You and my husband, Trent, were tearing down a deck off the Harriet house.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how long ago that was. But anyway, I called Trent and I said, "Hey, I'm getting coffee. Can I bring you guys some coffee?" And he got your order, and it was a skinny vanilla latte.
Yeah.
And I had never I was like, what is that? I don't even know what that is.
It's for skinny people.
It's for skinny people. Yeah. Anyway.
People who want to be skinny.
Maybe.
Either way. I was like, are you sure they're going to know what this is? But in fact, they do. And so this morning I went to Salvation Coffee, and I got you a skinny vanilla latte. And then when I walked into the building, you were probably already carrying a skinny vanilla latte from Salvation, weren't you?
I was not.
You had a cup from Salvation.
It's just dark roast coffee when I go there because that's I can get a free refill on it. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, that's how I do it.
Well, around this place, I feel like we drink coffee all day long. So
This is
hopefully,
awesome. Thank you so
you're welcome.
much.
And I did reheat it because it's been a minute, but it might not be. It might be lukewarm. Lukewarm.
It's tasty.
It's tasty. It's still good. Okay, good. Okay, so you're a skinny vanilla latte guy. Leanne, I could have gone a lot of different directions with you. But there was one day in particular that Leanne, maybe I was having a rough day. I don't know. Maybe I needed to pick me up. Or maybe she was just like, you know what? I'm going to just treat Jenny today. And I got back from wherever I was going. Maybe I was at lunch. I'm not sure. Probably picking up my kid.
Probably.
Doing the grind every day, running this kid here and going there and then coming back to work. I got back to my desk, and there was an M&M McFlurry on my desk. And it made my day. And then I feel like there were a few days after that just naturally somebody would be like, "Hey, I'm going to McDonald's. Anybody need anything?" And Leanne would be like, "Oh, an M&M McFlurry." Like it obviously had gotten on your radar that, hey, we like those around here. So I got you an M&M McFlurry.
Let's go. I'm a huge fan of ice cream.
Okay.
That's
This ice cream
terrible.
is leaking.
Oh, wow.
Watch
It's
out
a
for
leaky
it.
ice cream. No.
It's fine. It's fine. We got a coaster.
Environments teams. A coaster.
That's your coaster right there. Yeah. So anyway, there's your M&M McFlurry. So not exactly like a, I don't know. I was thinking kind of milkshake, but there's no straw. So
No
it's
straw.
still not a drink. I don't know. Maybe I didn't do this right, but I thought maybe you'd enjoy it.
I think you did it more than right. I think that I love ice cream, and so there's not a wrong way you could have gone with that.
Okay, good. I feel good about this then.
That's
It's funny
fantastic.
because when I went by McDonald's this morning at, I don't know, 8:30, the lady looked at me and she said, "We don't really get ice cream orders at this time of day. You kind of threw us off." And then I had to wait in the parking lot for a long time while they turned the ice cream machines on and got the ice cream hard because
They turned it on for you?
Yeah, they said the ice
Hey,
cream
that's pretty
is
cool.
soft right now.
That's a win.
I think the miracle here is the ice cream
Ice
machine
cream.
at McDonald's worked.
It was up.
That's the miracle. Wow.
I'm
Not
telling
only
you.
Today is
was it
blessed.
working, but they turned it on
Right.
for this McFlurry.
Instead of like,
no,
no, we don't do that.
Right.
Sorry.
No.
Because I
I feel
will
blessed
say,
by this McFlurry now.
The last
Should
time
be.
I went to that particular McDonald's to get myself one, they were like, "No, it's not working."
Of course not.
But anyway, yeah. So great customer service today. I really enjoyed my experience at McDonald's.
Thank you,
Listen,
McDonald's.
You
Yes.
couldn't have gone wrong with sugar.
Right?
Hey,
Right.
not all of us can be skinny vanilla latte guys.
Right, exactly. Come on, guys. Yeah, yeah. We like sugar around here.
I love ice cream and I love sugar.
I love it too. It just loves me back.
Here's a fun fact for those listening. In the office, there is an office workroom, break room. And what happens is like people meet for grow groups and they have like treats at grow groups or snacks or something. Anyway, and the stuff that doesn't get eaten, they want to like bless our staff and they send it all upstairs to the break room. And usually it's junk, right? It's when I say
Nine
junk, like
times out of
junk,
10.
it's like highly just
Cookies,
sugar,
muffins,
Yeah.
danishes.
great, wonderful stuff. Well, here's the deal. Everybody in the office is like health conscious, except for me and Leanne. And so we get to eat it all.
We're like, let's go.
and it's
There
funny,
might be a couple more who don't care as much.
who don't care and maybe they sneak it so we don't actually know that they're but for the most part, if there's a whole box of something and by the end of the week that box is gone, Leanne and I can look at each other and confidently feel like we knocked that out.
Oh, for sure.
It was the two of us.
There are certain things though that come up there that's salty and sweet. I'm like,
You can't resist.
oh, one handful at a time. I'm gonna eat that whole thing. One hand, walk by. Man, I need to go out get something real quick. Oh, look, there's the nuts and chocolate.
yeah.
A bag of trail mix has nothing on Doug Duggins.
I could put it back.
Also, anytime granola gets up to the office, Doug is handfuls of
It's
just
got to
granola
be
at
that.
a
What is
time.
that honey drizzle granola that you love so much that Joe bought that one time?
Oh man, he bought the stuff, man. I think I ate one giant BJ's bag of that myself.
I think it
In
was
one
only
sitting.
you.
I didn't even put it in yogurt.
Well,
I just ate it.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Is like if I see a bag of granola on the table, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm starving. I don't even look at that and think that that's food. I'm like, gosh, there's nothing to eat. Okay, we've gotten off severely. Anyway, so I was thinking about, okay, how can we, how can our viewers, our listeners get to know you guys better? And so I was like, hey, what's a pet peeve that you have? And you might need a minute to think about it. Maybe you don't just have them naturally off the top of your head. So I'll give you a pet peeve of mine that I just noticed the other day. It's not that I just noticed it. I just verbalized it the other day. I noticed it a long time. I get so frustrated when I walk into a particular bathroom here at the church. I walk into the bathroom and there's an automatic light that comes on when I open the door, and it's like, oh, that's so wonderful. It knows I'm here. I didn't have to touch anything. The light turned on. I use the restroom. I go wash my hands, and there's automatic soap that goes in my hand, and my shoulder kind of breezes past the paper towel dispenser, so it's already automatically dispensing for me in preparation that I'm going to need a paper towel. And then I go to put my hands under this faucet, and nothing happens because it's not automatic. It's manual, and I have to use my hand, and every time it gets me, and I always feel so dumb that I was waiting on that thing to turn on, and it's not one of those. And so that's one of those like pet peeve situations that I was thinking of when I come up with this question. I was like, I don't like being made to feel dumb when is anybody with me on that?
I
Do we
think
feel that?
that is a really specific example.
It is, but okay, when you go to places, think about it. Like, this is not the only place that happens. And then let me tell you just another part of it.
Okay.
When it's a super short faucet and I
Oh,
can't
I
get
do
my
hate that.
hands all the way.
because you got to touch the back of the sink.
Right.
No one.
It's so weird.
Let me tell you what's the worst is funnily enough, my mom and dad's bathroom, when I go in there to like wash my face or something, like say somebody's using my bathroom and I'm like, hey guys, can I use your bathroom to get ready for bed? Oh, sure. I go in there and wash my face. Their sink is the shortest sink of all time. And like I'm leaning my face over the sink to wash my face and just water is everywhere.
Yeah.
Nothing's going back in the sink because the sink is literally 2 inches. Like I don't understand why it's so small. Do you ever deal with your sink not being long enough?
Do you like the tiny sink?
No, I mean, I wish it was bigger for sure, but it was the constraints that we had to work within at the moment in time that we put all that together. So
The sink does its
You
purpose. I
get
will
what you
say.
get, and you don't pitch a fit.
I'm
That's what
not
my kid
pitching a
tells
fit.
me.
Oh,
listen,
That's what his teacher tells him.
okay.
So then he relays it to me.
That's good.
so I just got a new pet peeve.
Okay.
It's very recent. It's when I come on a podcast and the other two people who have a pet peeve point straight back to me doing something wrong.
Okay, listen.
That's
That's
no,
so
he's
sad.
definitely wasn't
That's
yours.
my pet peeve
No,
is to publicly point out how I'm a failure
You are not a
to
failure, Doug
everyone.
Duggins.
I
are
haven't put in
anything but a failure.
automatic faucets in every single bathroom in the church. We don't have that. I get it. Just some
Does
of the
that fall under
bathrooms.
operations, you think?
It feels like a facility
I
thing.
wasn't
And
trying to
then
point that to you.
My house is just a mess, and the sinks don't hold water.
I would
mean,
like
yeah.
to preface that my mom and dad have a very nice bathroom that Pastor Doug Duggins spent a very long time making very nice.
I
to
also-
preface something, you have to say it before you said the
well,
next
we're gonna
thing.
pretend like I prefaced it.
I also think it's kind of funny that you're like, when my bathroom's occupied. Like, you have your own bathroom.
No, I don't.
I don't even have my own bathroom.
I don't have my own bathroom. I share it with my 2 older brothers, and
Ish.
yeah, one's not here, but when he is living here, I share it with him. But the one brother just takes a wildly long time in the shower and loves to choose like the second that I walk into the door to the house to get ready for bed to get in the
Yeah,
shower.
he's like, oh, here comes Leanne. I got to go.
I'm gonna
He's
tell
like,
you
crap,
what.
Leanne's home. Let me get in the shower.
A pet peeve that Leanne will have soon is when she moves out of our house and the tankless, endless hot water heater
That's a
goes
luxury.
away. When the hot water only lasts like 15 minutes and then it's just cold after that.
Yeah.
My kids are going to have a rude awakening. They're like, you know what my pet peeve is? Is when the hot water runs out.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
You should say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This was fun. Okay, guys. Wow.
Put that in with love just for you guys.
I appreciate it. Just for us, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
this
that was
was
I
very
take
kind.
5-minute showers, so I would never run out of hot water.
He doesn't need hot water.
No.
He's got hot coffee. He's fine. All right. So the reason I had you guys on today is because I wanted to have opportunity to just kind of extend the Easter conversation that we've been having. Again, Easter is coming quickly, but we have been able to kind of get on the front end of Easter. We've prepared and prepared and prepared for it. And so I just want to kind of take the time to talk about those preparations that have taken place around our building. There are things that naturally people are seeing from the stage. When Pastor Tad is communicating on a Sunday morning, he's talking about our Who's Your One Sunday, and he's talking about attend one, serve one. So building up our volunteer teams for Easter so that we can bring in more people, more guests to Easter. But there are so many preparations that are going on behind the scenes. And Doug, you being an operations pastor, you're heading up so many of those. And Leanne, you're here all the time with me. We're constantly working towards stuff as well, all in preparation for Easter because it's a big day.
Yeah.
And we talked about it with Pastor Tad on the last episode of the preparations are so intentional because we know that Easter is a highly attended Sunday, meaning that, especially here in the Bible Belt, there are sometimes people who will only attend church at Easter or Christmas. And we want to make sure to capitalize on those moments that if we invite someone, they may be more willing to say, yes, I'll come because it's Easter. And so when they come, we want them to feel like they were expected, that they have been anticipated, their arrival has been anticipated, and that we are prepared for them to be here. And so just real quick, I want to talk about some of the, like, maybe the things going on around our building that allow us to prepare for Easter services. So what have you been up to lately preparing for Easter?
Well, I mean, one of the things that I just want to say, I appreciate Pastor Tad so much for bringing Easter prep a month earlier than we've ever started.
It feels like
It's just great.
wow.
Because it is it's our Super Bowl,
Yeah.
right? It's the biggest day, and so we we didn't walk into the Super Bowl with like, hey, I wonder what the other, what's going to happen today. Like our game plan is being put in place well in
Well in
advance,
advance.
2 months before the big game, and so that has given, I think, all of us such peace,
Yes.
less
Absolutely.
stress, and the ability to really think through all the steps that we want to take and
Yeah.
make sure that the things that we do are the right things
Right.
and that they're done well. And so we're super. It's makes it the day even more exciting
Yes.
to know that you've put in all this preparation work and you're not stressed to the max because it was the last minute.
Right. You can enjoy the
Yeah.
day. You can
Yeah.
enjoy all of it coming together.
Yep. I think and enjoy the week leading up to Easter and
Yeah.
the 2 weeks. And so not we don't have we won't stop preparing, but we have prepared so much beforehand. So
Right.
with the volunteer bags,
Yeah.
putting all that together and getting the shirts and the invite cards for the main service and then for kids.
Yeah.
And having just like the little lanyards that we gave out. I mean,
Yeah.
it all ties together. So just trying to make that a cohesive event,
Right.
not just even a day, a big event. So
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of work, obviously put into that, making all that cohesive,
Yeah.
putting all that together. The giant yard signs that we have, so so fun. I hope everybody has one and puts it in their yard. And the HOAs are freaking out right now because we have such big yard signs.
I
love
feel
'em.
like every day I see a new one.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just so exciting.
Yeah, every time I drive past a new one, I'm like, let's go.
Even
Yep.
Levi, my 5-year-old, he's like, "Hey, mommy, there's our church sign." And he, for whatever reason, for the longest time, he was like denying that we had one in our yard. He just had not opened his eyes, I guess. But anyway, one day we pulled in the driveway, and he was like, "We have one of those signs too." And I was like, "Well, baby, it's been
been
there
up for
for
a week."
A week. I mean, I know we don't play in the front yard much, but anyway,
Yeah. Another thing we've done that's really just over the top, bigger than we've ever done before, is we're sending out a 48,000 piece mailer.
that's so much.
That's insane.
Is that not crazy? I
That's
mean, and it's all
insane.
over from Witsit to Mebane. I mean, it's all around the surrounding areas, and so I'm super pumped. I mean, we just said we're going all in, right? We asked our volunteers to go all in with us
Yep.
because we're doing 5 services. So we said, we're going to make sure that we're going to reach our community one way or another.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
48,000 pieces.
what comparatively, like, what's the closest that y'all have ever done to that?
Probably about half of that.
Half?
Yeah, probably about half. I don't know the number exactly, but it's somewhere around half of that. Only because the price has been about half of that, and so we're just pulling out all the stops because how important it is, and we feel like our church is ready.
Yeah.
I feel like our volunteers are ready. We put a lot of work into. I think we're getting into that later, maybe just getting volunteers ready, but. That's why we got all those volunteer kits, is because people are ready to see people who need to hear about the hope and love of Jesus coming to church,
Right.
and we're going to prepare this place for them.
Yeah. I will say, talking about the mailers and that situation, so really what that just means it's an invite that gets sent out through the mail, and it's not specific to people who attend Hope Church. It's to the community around, just an blanket invite to everyone. Anyway, and it's so interesting to me because if I'm being completely honest with you, I check my mail maybe once every 3 weeks. That's
3 weeks?
That's real. That is real talk, real time. And recently, Amazon has started putting Amazon packages in my mailbox, so I have to go out there more often. So there's that. But otherwise, it's about every 3 weeks. So anyway,
You're going to miss the mailer.
I'm gonna miss the mailer. But-
it's only a week out that
What?
we send it, so maybe it'll be that week. You
Just check.
What I was
Make
gonna
sure you check it
say.
the week we send it.
Right. What I was going to say about that, though, is that being in Next Step, so hearing the stories of, hey, how did you find out about Hope Church? It amazes me how often I was new to the area and I received an invite to Hope Church in the mail because some people check their mail.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
far
think,
more
I
than
think it's
myself.
most people.
Most people
that-
still check their mail.
like daily.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, some people's
Like at 5
mailboxes
o'clock when
are
they get
on their
home.
porches, and that makes it easier.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
maybe their mailboxes are smaller, so they have to check it before it fills up. But I have a big mailbox, and it can get full.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
the mailer is important though. It's significant.
Yeah.
It has actual results that come from the mailer.
Absolutely. Usually, even if it's only 1% and so we get 1% of households. I mean, we'd have like 50 households of
New
people,
volunteers. I mean, new.
new guests who have
Yes.
never
Maybe
been to Hope
volunteers.
Church before. I mean, I mean, that could be 150 to 200 more people
Right.
just off of that, and it's worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
It's
absolutely worth
it's
it.
worth it to
Absolutely.
them.
Yeah.
And yeah, just a side note, you're talking about they received an invite from Hope Church, so we purchase every month a list of new movers. So
Yeah.
Wow.
new people who added new names to addresses. We take those and we send them an invite card, every single one of them.
Yeah.
You know, it's 200 or 300 or more every single month of new mover addresses, and we send them an invite card to church. And you know, it's a simple little thing, but it makes a difference.
I mean, it's making for myself, if I were to move to an entirely new area and I knew I wanted to find a church, I knew that was going to be important to me. Or maybe I didn't know, but all of a sudden I received this invite in the mail to a church that looks relevant. It looks like, oh, those are people that look like me that seem to, be in, active and they do things. And like, yeah, I need to make friends in this new place. I'm gonna go try this church. Like, I think that that's a really great tool that we have that we use. I'm glad that we take advantage of that.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for heading that up.
You're welcome.
So also, I think there are some like beautification projects that are taking place around our church leading up to Easter. And you do a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah, we work. I got a good volunteer. He comes in and serves with me. So we're sprucing up the planter boxes out in the front.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So
No more
this is-
peeling paint.
peeling paint on wood. It's like the bane of my existence. Like if you ask me to build something out of wood and put it in our church outside somewhere, I'm just no.
You guys
No.
take a note of that. Don't be asking
We're not-
Pastor Doug to build anything out of wood.
Nothing out of wood. Wood just
No wood.
It rots. It needs to be stained and maintained every 6 months. So
We like treks.
we're going Trex all the way, baby.
So we have Trex planter boxes now that's taking place.
We're
Very
working on
exciting.
it. So
Right.
hopefully, the goal is to finish them up by Easter. It's a big project, though.
Yeah.
It's a big project.
And then there are the banners that are up in the
The banners.
we have the new banners on the
courtyard.
pole banners in the courtyard. Yeah, those are nice.
yeah. It's just fun. I say all this to say it's fun every week. I feel like as our guests are walking in, if you're paying attention, like things are starting to just really be enhanced around here. And in general, we want to enhance it for the church, for the sake of the church, because we care about each and every person coming in each and every week. But really, it's an opportunity to wow our guests at Easter that, hey, this place is taken care of and this place is cared for deeply. So I feel comfortable here. It feels inviting and warm and, again, intentionally prepared for the arrival of someone. So, yeah, thank you for heading those things up.
You're welcome.
So really quick, I wanted to just kind of recap. Pastor Tad and I talked about this in the last episode, but the Who's Your One Sunday, we just continue to keep hearing more stories of Who's Your One. And Leanne, I know that you have a really cool experience that you were able to hear about this past week, but a couple weeks ago, I had someone come up to me to share a Who's Your One story. And it's actually a couple who I met for the first time last year at Easter when we were doing Easter at Williams. And I don't remember exactly because it was a very busy day. I remember meeting her specifically that day, and I remember her asking for a Bible. She didn't own a Bible, and she wanted a Bible. Anyway, and Sandy, our office administrator, sent her a Bible over our like spring break, Easter break, period of time. And so the very next Sunday, that Bible, this guest came back and she had her Bible and she was in tears, just so thankful that, somebody cared enough to do that. And that was a really cool thing for Sandy. But anyway, over this past year, this guest and her husband and her son have become highly involved here at our church, and they serve and they're in groups, and they are wonderful. And I feel like even their son, he's really young, but he comes in every week with like a costume on. I feel like he's almost like a Hope Church mascot. Like sometimes he's a stormtrooper. I think this past week he was maybe he was a firefighter. I don't remember. But anyway, they're a very loved and dear part of our church. So all that to say, when she pulled me to the side the other week to tell me about her Who's Your One story, she said, I don't know if you know it, but I was someone's Who's Your One.
Wow.
So I was the one who came based off of this big push to have an invite a person to come to church with you on Easter. Anyway, and she said, but and in coming, she said my marriage was very much falling apart at the time. She said, and God has just completely transformed our marriage. And she said, and we're stronger than we've ever been, and my family is healthy. And anyway, just very thankful for her invite to Hope Church. But what she was saying is that the person who invited her has stepped away from church in this season. And so she said, my Who's Your One this year is the person who invited me last year.
That's
Wow.
wild.
She was like, this person desperately needs to be connected again and desperately needs to know that Jesus loves her despite whatever is going on in her life. Anyway, and so she said that she had invited this person to attend again, anyway, to come back. And that, from my understanding, that person came back that Sunday that she was telling me about all this. But she said, I was looking at her Bible and noticed that she needed a Bible that was easy to read. And this person knows the value in that because she was given a Bible that has been her lifeline this last year. Anyway, and she said, so this time I got to go out and I got to intentionally look for a Bible that was good for her. And I got her a
crazy.
Bible.
Wow.
And anyway, it was just really cool to just see all the dynamics in that story. But when you peel it all back, it can be really easy to forget that, especially working in a church, it can be really easy to forget that people desperately are looking for an invite. They're just looking for an invite in.
Yeah.
Like it looks attractive from the outside. Can I get in there? Is it okay for me to come? But when somebody that cares about you invites you in, that yes is a whole lot easier, right? That I'll say yes, I'll come, I'll show up, and then God can just show off. Anyway, and that's what we see in that story, and I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But Leanne, you were sharing with me this past week just a really unique, wild situation that you have heard about. So if you'll share that with us too.
Yeah, so just this past Sunday, I was just out in the courtyard. I think during the first service, probably just talking with some of my friends, and this man walks up, and it was in the middle of service, so I was already like, okay, so he's looking for something. Like, so I went, and I had never seen him before, so I went up and just introduced myself, and as soon as he said his name, I recognized it as somebody who we had shadowing on our guest services team that morning. So I just welcomed him and started walking in and just asked him how long he had been coming to Hope Church. And I was really, really shocked when he said, this is my second Sunday. And I was like, there's no way this is your second Sunday and you're shadowing to serve. That's insane.
And real quick, shadowing to serve means that you have indicated an interest in serving on the guest services team. You're coming for the very first time to kind of see what it's all about and kind of get acclimated with, okay, this is what it means to serve.
Yeah,
So this is
absolutely.
his first step into serving.
Yeah. And so the week before, we had done a really big Easter push of just like, hey, we want everybody in our church to serve with us and be available to serve the guests that we are asking to come in on Easter. And he was somebody that signed up to serve, but it was his very first Sunday at Hope Church. And I just kind of asked him his story a little bit, and he said, well, what's so funny is I was on a plane back from Florida visiting some family, and I happened to be on YouTube, and I clicked the Hope Church service, and it was the Who's Your One Sunday. And I watched the Who's Your One on the flight back home, and I chose to be my own one.
That's crazy.
Isn't that cool?
That is so crazy.
He said I wanted to be the person to just say yes and go to church, and I showed up, and then, signed up to serve, and here I am. And it was just this mind-boggling thing to me. I was just like speechless sitting there, like talking to him. I didn't even know what to say other than like, this is incredible. Like, you are amazing. Like, how incredible is it that you chose to just have so much faith in God that he would put you here and choose to serve with us like that. I was speechless.
Yeah. How unique.
Yeah, it's amazing that he took the whole service as an invite just
Yeah,
for him.
For himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
for himself, and obviously no coincidence that God lined all those things up for him, having the time on the flight, Hope Church popping up in his feed and just all those things. So, I mean, you just never know what might hit people.
Right.
So
And
cool.
now he's shadowing so that he can be a part of somebody else's first time
Yeah.
coming to Easter as a Hoosier one. So, what about you, Pastor Doug? Is there any particular story that's jumped out to you?
Yeah, for sure. There's similar to what you said. After the first or that day of Who's Your One Sunday, I had one of my security team guys say, "I already know who's your one is. I know who my one is," and he told me their name, and he's like, "They need to be back in church," which is that somebody who had stepped away.
Yeah.
Life happens. and
Yep.
said they need to be back in church. They need it so bad. They need it so bad.
Yeah.
Right. And it was somebody who was coming to church before he was coming to church.
Right.
Wow.
And so, a matter of fact, I think they were the ones who got him into church also, who at least told him
Yeah.
about who
Yeah, yeah.
church he knew. And so he said, I'm going to invite him this week.
Yeah.
And then the next Sunday, he's like, they're here today. They're here
Right.
today,
That's
right?
crazy.
They came the first week, and you're just like, well, yeah. I mean, this was supposed to be a month out even, but
Yeah.
now they're here this week, and just seeing that excitement of, hey, I made an invite, and they came.
Yeah.
We may send out the mailer, we may do new movers cards, and those things are great. They are a minuscule compared to a personal invite to somebody to
Yeah.
come to church. I mean, it's so much more effective. And I don't know if you have your one, if you've invited them yet. Maybe you didn't fill out a card. We had hundreds and hundreds of cards, by the way, of people who wrote down they know somebody. Everybody seems like they know somebody who needs to be in church, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, give them that invite. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Do that. And it's taking that action.
Yeah.
The worst they can say is no.
Right. Right.
So what?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's no different than where they're at now. But
Right.
if they
And
say
I'll keep
yes,
praying for you.
Yeah.
And maybe next time.
that's right. But if they
Yeah.
say yes, I mean,
You can
what
change
a
their
great
life.
victory,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
victory in their life, victory in the life of the church.
Yeah.
And so the Hoosier One is really a great tool and just one of those things that we put in. I mean, you could do this any week. Every week could
Right.
be a Hoosier One Sunday for you.
Right.
But this is just a tool, say, because we know if you invite someone to Easter, well, you got two things. You got the personal invite, and it's Easter, bro.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. You can't go to church on Easter.
we-
When you
we
going to
go
go
to
to church?
It's Easter.
We're in North
Right.
Carolina. We
That's
go to
right.
church on Easter.
Come on. If you don't go to church on Easter, when would you go?
When would
Right,
you go?
right.
Right? And there's plenty of opportunity. You go Friday night.
Right.
A bunch of times on Sunday.
There you go.
Yeah.
Five opportunities here.
That's right.
I think it's so funny that you mentioned the specific word, the excitement that it brings in the church. This past Sunday we had a woman on our guest services team stand up in our team huddle to tell us all about how she had invited one of her friends to church, and they were coming that morning, and she was just so excited to share it with us and so excited to be out there. And I watched her walk with her friend and their family all the way up in church, and just to see that excitement on our volunteers' face. And even when she was telling the rest of the team, like, they were excited and prepared for this new person to come into the church and prepared to welcome them in. And it's just so cool to see the excitement that is bursting out of the walls of this church right now.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I mean, your ministry, both of you together, have led a ministry that we actually don't need Easter to be prepared for new people.
Right. Yeah.
When new people come in this Sunday, we're prepared already.
Yeah.
We're already expecting new people to be here. We have a plan in place to welcome them from the parking lot until they leave. And
Yeah.
so we're ready. We're expecting, every week, every single week, without fail, we have new people who show up to church.
Yeah.
And usually more than we even know. But it's just crazy. Last week, from adults to kids to students, there were 40 guests.
Wow.
In our building.
Insane.
Can you? I mean, I bet
Wow.
some of them were the ones.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Some of
Absolutely.
them were the ones, and then and other people too. And so we are ready,
Yeah.
and it shows. I think when
Yeah.
people leave, they feel like they were loved on.
Yeah.
They came into a place that was safe.
Yeah.
It was inviting, welcoming, warm.
Yeah.
And so you guys have done an amazing job of making sure that happens every single week. And of course, we have our volunteers are in place
Yeah.
Right.
who see that, like the person that you said, the one, when they came, they felt and had an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they get the opportunity to share that with someone else.
Right. The person that you said, I appreciate all that. The person that you're talking about, the volunteer who said, hey, I'm bringing, I have some guests coming today. When she announced it to our guest services huddle, the whole team is immediately like, what are their names? What do they look
Yeah.
like? We want to know. We want to be
That's
able to
awesome.
identify them exactly and be able to say, hey, we were expecting you by name.
Yeah.
And our volunteer, Charlene, she said, Oh, no, don't even worry about it. You're going to recognize them because I'm going to go meet them in the parking lot and I'm going to walk them all
You'll
the
see them
way.
because I'm walking up with them. That's what she
Exactly.
said.
There was
Absolutely.
extreme ownership of it, and but extreme ownership on Charlene's part, but extreme ownership in everybody's response to, oh, we can't wait. We're going to zero in on that person, and we're going to make them feel exceptionally cared for.
And I was going to touch on that too, like the welcomeness that people feel and that we're prepared for. Like you guys see that when you walk into church on Sunday morning, but we see it in the huddles before the parking lot is even open. Like our volunteer teams are so excited for every new person that walks in the building on Sunday morning, and they're so passionate about making people feel welcome, making people feel known. Like that is what they're here to do on Sunday mornings, and they do it well.
Yeah, for sure. Pastor Tad mentioned in the previous podcast previous episode that the energy that some of our volunteers carry inspire. Like it's like, wow, how are you even that passionate? Like you, as a volunteer, the passion that you carry far exceeds anybody in this building. You are carrying it for this team. Thank you. And you're right. It's on every single team. They're the people that just bring it.
Yeah.
And get everybody else energized and ready for the day.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah. So speaking of volunteer teams, we also had the Attend One Serve One push recently, and we've had so many people come from that. People who said, you know what, I am going to be a part of making Easter happen for a guest. And so I think, Lee and I was looking at our team alone, and I think that we had 67 new folks say, hey, I want to be a part of guest services in whatever capacity, whether it's parking, coffee, welcome team, on Easter, for Easter. Anyway, and so talking about preparations for Easter, the last couple of weeks, we've just been working off of spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets on spreadsheets.
Right? It's like we...
I think I have 3 open right now.
Yeah, we had this cool thing the other week. So when this big volunteer push happened, we had, all these people fill out their cards or their information, and then they come by the table to receive the volunteer kit that you were talking about, Pastor Doug. And anyway, from there, we have just this massive list of people who have filled out the form to volunteer at Easter at one of our 5 Easter services. And so later that week, our staff sat down at a table, and we had what we called a volunteer draft. And so it literally was just saying, okay, here are all the spaces that I need covered on a Sunday morning. How many of these volunteers said that they would be interested in serving in kids? Because I claimed them all, right? Like that's exactly what happened.
Did they put kids down? Yeah.
Give that one to me. You don't need them. I need them. Give them to me. Anyway, and so that was a really cool thing. And also just that our volunteers, or that the people who responded would say, I'm not married to one area. Use me where you need me. Like what a just life-giving to our teams. Like, thank you for being so flexible with the day, knowing that I just want to meet a need. Wherever that need is, I want to meet it. So what are the preparations, I guess, going into preparing for all of these volunteers to serve on Easter Sunday? Either of you want to jump in on that?
Well, I mean, for sure for us, it's spreadsheets are a big deal for us. Like we have a massive spreadsheet that's just color-coded, aligned in all the ways.
I feel like we're quite organized.
I feel like it's very organized.
Other people might not know what our organization.
There's a key at the top. There's a key.
You do have a key on there.
I think the key is helpful when people use the right colors.
I try. I think I'm a little bit colorblind. We've talked about this. I have a hard time seeing shades.
Yeah, no joke. There's a key, and there's like some are green and some are blue.
Call me out.
And just
Maybe
the shades of green are just
green.
it's just darker. Like the one that I picked was a lighter shade, and then every time that she puts one as green, it's just a darker shade of green, and I don't understand.
I think I'm just doing it so that we know who added what. I did this one.
You have a
did
certain
this.
shade for you.
For me.
Has
That's a
certain
certain
It's in
shade.
the same family, but now we know.
Exactly.
Maybe you
That's
should have
smart.
added that to the key.
That's
Well,
smart.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Pastor Doug. I'm smart.
I think it's smart when everybody knows it.
Anyway,
You picked-
Anyways.
We're all catching up now.
I feel caught up now. Thank you. No, but that organization I think is really important for us. Just knowing that, like, hey, this is how many people we're gonna have coming in this Sunday. Where do we need them? Where can we put them? How can they be the most help? And I think that's a conversation we have every day of the week of who's shadowing this Sunday. Where are they shadowing?
Yeah.
because that's the other part of it is that we don't want to just throw them in for the first time at Easter.
Yeah.
We want them to serve at least one time before, so that on Easter they are fully prepared. They feel equipped to do the position that they are put
Absolutely.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, so same thing. Get people shadowing, got 'em scheduled to shadow a service, and then we'll have a training day too before Easter.
Oh,
So
wow.
Sunday before
That's
Easter,
good.
we'll have a time to train
Good for y'all.
all the new. So, but we have volunteers who signed up on the last volunteer earlier in the year,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Who signed up to volunteer, and I think this attend one serve one really uh, was it was bolstered by that because I think we announced, hey, if you want to volunteer here, we'd love for you to be a part of all of our ministries. And I think there were some people sitting out in the crowd going, I wonder if that's something I should do. I'm not sure.
Right.
And then we turned around and said, hey, here's another opportunity if you want to serve. It's like they're hearing the same thing over and over. Maybe
Yeah.
you're one of them. And you're like, okay, I get it now. I mean, sometimes it takes me a couple of minutes, but so I'm going to serve. I think
Yeah.
they're already considering,
Right.
being a part of them. There's like they do see the need.
Right.
And here's an opportunity
Right.
to give back to people who receive what I've already received.
Right.
Right, make
Yeah.
someone feel welcome, make someone
Yeah.
feel at home, and so people were ready, and it's been an overwhelming response.
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
good.
It is. It's very exciting.
Well,
Very-
I think what a blessing it is too that we did the serve push earlier this year as a staff. Like, I felt prepared for the Easter serve push because we already did a big serve push. Like, I feel like we had a plan going into it, and we just had to expand it and do it bigger.
Yes.
So that was really cool.
And again, I point that back to just the leadership and
Yeah,
Pastor Tad
absolutely.
of we just this year, Easter feels different.
Yeah,
We're going
it does.
into it, it feels lighter. And the reality is that we are carrying a bigger number of attenders at Hope Church, but it feels lighter. So
Yeah.
I'm very appreciative of the preparation, and you're right, that was a great way to look at it as well.
Yep.
Okay, so one last question for you, just again in the preparations going into Easter and just what happens at Easter at Hope Church. Something that we do is an Easter offering, and we do that every year. And it's typically we go into this with a very specific place that the funds from the Easter offering go to this thing. So would you want to touch on being over that, what that is this year, and where that's going to go?
Yeah, sure. So every year we participate in two special offerings, one at Christmas and one at Easter. And, every year Tad and I will sit down and we'll talk, hey, what's the plan this year? And literally we have this conversation of, well, I don't know yet. And then we both begin to pray about that and just to see, okay, Holy Spirit, where are you leading us?
Yeah.
What's coming up? And God always offers opportunities for us, and He always gives us, just through the Holy Spirit, the answer to the question.
Right.
He just does. And so, as we were praying through that this year, we just look back on our history, and this kind of the conversation we've been having over and over and over is over the last 2 years, we've almost doubled in size. 88% we've grown in 2 years. And if you were here a month ago, you realize when we had two services, hey, when I pull into the parking lot, I better get there early so I can get a spot.
Yeah.
I need to get there early so I can actually get in the lobby and go find a seat, get through kids check-in. All the spaces, all the environments were at capacity at times.
Quite congested.
Just very
And
crunched.
so we said, you know what? We're going to add another service. We're going to spread folks out a little bit. And by golly, we've added a service, and it's like sometimes we're still at capacity in
Yeah.
some of those places. And so the third service we realize is just a stopgap to what's next.
That
And,
Band-Aid.
what is it? Maybe it's a fourth service, but how does that look?
Right.
And how long will we carry on 4 services? How many services are we going to add 10 services on
Yeah.
the weekend if people keep coming? We don't think that's the answer, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so this year for our Easter gift offering, we're calling it the expansion offering. It's a offering we've already had, but what we want to do is begin to focus our church to what's next.
Yeah.
What does God have next? Because if God continues to bless, people continue to come, you continue to invite people to Hope Church, and they
Right.
continue to show up
Yeah.
the way that they've shown up in 2 more years, this space is not going to be sufficient.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right? People just, if you can't park your car in the parking lot at church, you can't go to church. I remember a couple years ago, you went shopping at the outlets at Tanger.
Yeah, on Black
and
Friday.
You were like looking in the grass, up on the hill,
That's a
all
nightmare.
this stuff.
It was a nightmare.
Did
We
you-
left. We didn't stay.
You
We
left.
literally couldn't find a parking
Right.
spot and looked for like 30 minutes and left.
Yeah, I mean, who cares about the Tanger and going shopping?
You can't park.
There's no salvation coming from there, right?
Yeah.
There's no hope in that. Here, we have the hope of the world. What a tragedy if somebody leaves because they can't find a parking spot.
Absolutely.
An absolute tragedy. And just we're not going to be so caught off guard in 2 years that we allow that to happen. And so we don't know exactly what that next step is. We're still praying through that.
Yeah.
You know, there's all the options for what's next are on the table.
Yeah.
And so, but the offering is to begin preparing our church for what's next.
Yeah.
Prepare us financially, spiritually, prepare to take on something that's bigger than ourselves. So we're excited about the future.
Yeah.
We don't know what it looks like yet, but we are excited about what God's going to do because we know we're going to need to expand because what we offer, people desperately need.
Absolutely. It's funny that you're bringing up the parking situation because I guarantee you that after one of our parking volunteers hears this, he is going to be knocking on our door saying, "Hey, remember that idea I had about we should just build a parking garage? That'll solve
A
all our
parking
problems."
deck.
An underground parking deck.
He said, "If we can't go out, we just got to go
We
up."
got to go up.
It's an
Gotta go
idea.
up.
So
It's an idea.
it is.
You know, unfortunately,
There's some probably
parking's
city
not that-
ordinances around here.
there's plenty of them. That's not the only place, right?
Right, yeah.
It is the lobby. It is Hope Kids
Yeah.
check-in.
Yeah.
You know, it is the auditorium. Like if you come to 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock service.
got to get those
We're
service
getting
times.
used to it too. We're getting used
Well,
to it too.
When do we have services?
What time is it?
The 10 o'clock. There's one service on Sunday now. Okay, for me, there's just
It's
one
just one.
service.
It's just all
It starts in the
morning.
morning. It ends in the afternoon. And so the 10 o'clock service. I mean, during worship, you look around like, man, this place is full. I mean, you know, we know it's not. We can count the heads and the seats, so we know how many people there are in the room. But you already are feeling that there's still pressure
Yeah.
in our spaces. There's
Yeah.
still a capacity issue, things that we need to consider because we want people to feel comfortable. And a new person comes in, they don't want to have to sit in between two other people because it's the only spot left in the room. No one really wants to do that. We like that. Right? We like a full room. You know, every Sunday's a night of worship at Hope Church. You know, we like that. But we also know new people aren't that comfortable with that people don't want to sit side by side with somebody they don't know, they've never met. And so we want to make sure we're trying to take down barriers is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, the expansion is to remove barriers from people coming to church and having a bad experience. We don't want what we do to cause them to have a bad experience because we haven't planned and we haven't prepared.
Right.
You
Yeah.
guys have done all that work to plan and prepare for new people. Well, if the facility doesn't match that, then you know we've failed. I mean, you could do your
Yeah.
best work all the way up into the, you know, maybe there is parking and everything, but they come into the room and there's nowhere to sit.
Yeah.
So
There's a fail.
or they try to go to kids check-in and there's a line and it takes them 10 minutes to check their kid in.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah.
much. So we're just trying to remove any of those kind of barriers that Satan may use. And let's just be honest, it's Satan's attack.
Absolutely.
I mean, people go to Walmart and go to the self-checkout and realize only half the self-checkouts are open and wait in line to check out their groceries.
Right.
You know, instead of putting them down and leaving, like it's too long.
Right.
But they'll wait for that, but they don't necessarily wait to get into church and
Yeah.
to take that time. It needs to be
Yeah.
convenient. And you know what? I don't necessarily like that, but it is what it is. And so we want to make sure that's Satan can't use that as a stumbling block. As I told you, they don't want you here.
Yeah.
Because Satan will do that,
Oh,
and
for sure.
it's an attack from the enemy. And so we have to deal with spiritual warfare just like everybody else. You know, it's the church, and Satan doesn't want it to grow.
Absolutely.
He doesn't want us to succeed. He
Yep.
wants us to fail miserably
Yes.
and not be able to teach people who need it the most that there's a God who loves them beyond compare.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and again, going back to just the leadership in place here at Hope Church, I truly appreciate you being
Yeah.
able to look further than the here and now in preparation for, hey, this is where we need to be. We need to know that God is going to continue to honor our faith and obedience and how we are trying to be obedient to what he has led our church to. And so you being able to forecast and look out with Pastor Tat, just, hey, this is what we need to be preparing for.
For sure.
Because, my brain doesn't always work like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that, we are all playing parts of the body of Christ, right?
Yeah.
We come together and it works really well.
Yeah, that's right.
And that intentional prayer that you and Pastor Tad are just diving into, that's really important and really cool to see from the leadership of our church, that you guys are like, no, this is a problem and this is something that we need to work on, but we work on it with God's timing, not our timing. And
Yes.
he's going to pave the way for us. And so we're going to pray on that and really meditate in that and let God do what he does in the timing that he does it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're in a period of like, we're waiting on the Lord, and there's blessing in that. There's God honors that time where you wait on the Lord. You just don't go out and say, oh, we see the problem. Let's fix it in our own strength.
Right.
The Lord gives strength to those who wait, right?
Yeah.
That's when it says he gives you strength. You fly on wings like eagles, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure we wait on him to get the to be in his will for
Right.
whatever we do next.
Right.
And so, but it don't mean we just do nothing, right? We're still taking action, and
Right,
this is
there's
that
preparation.
action, right?
Yeah.
So we still take action. This is the action
Yeah.
that we're taking.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys having this conversation. And again, I just wanted this to be an opportunity to kind of just a behind the scenes look of all the things that go into Easter here at Hope Church. And I feel like that's exactly what we've done.
Yeah.
So thanks for
Yeah.
diving in deep right there. I want to kind of close it out with just fun questions, just to end on a lighter, note here. And I think it's just, I'm just curious to see if you guys are, your blood related. So like, are your questions going to be, or your answers going to be the same? Anyway, I'm just, so this is this or that. Okay.
Listen, if you have seen Leanne for 10 minutes or me for 10 minutes, and then you go see the other person, you probably realize
Probably.
Y'all are the
Pretty-
same
pretty similar.
person.
pretty quick.
Well,
Yeah.
let's see how real y'all
Let's put it to the
similar.
test.
Yeah, we're gonna test it off right now. Okay, so this or that. Okay, one or the other. We can't do both. It's one or the other. Okay, 100% of the time, or not 100% of the time, but the majority of the time, is it one or is it the other? So the first question: Skittles or Starbursts? Doug,
Skittles.
Leanne.
I mean, Skittles. Yeah.
Okay, what color Skittle?
I just probably no color. Just
What?
a handful.
They have different flavors. What color Skittle?
Red.
Yeah, I'm red or purple.
I was thinking about
I'll give
purple,
green
but
and yellow to everybody. And I don't never want orange.
Yeah.
Pick those
Orange
out.
is- green. I think if I were to rank them, it would be red, purple, green, yellow, orange.
Yeah, I'd probably fall in that same. Yeah. All right. Okay. So climb a mountain or jump from a plane. What would you pick?
I mean, like
Crickets.
one off.
Yeah, no, this is like a big deal. Okay, you're climbing.
Like Mount Everest, are we talking?
Yeah, you're climbing
Okay.
Mount Everest or you're jumping out of a plane. What adrenaline junkie? Which side of the coin do you fall on? You guys need to be more lively.
Well,
Let's
I'm not.
have some
I
fun.
didn't know
well,
who was,
hang on,
I
hang
was
on,
who
gonna
you
say,
asked.
do we
Here's
answer
the
at the same time?
I think what I have found is that you guys are both super analytical, and you're thinking of all the ways around this thing. Okay,
I'm jumping out of a plane.
you're
If
jumping
I-
out of a
yeah.
plane. What are you doing?
That was my first thought, is like, I love
Yeah.
hiking, but if
Yeah.
I was given the opportunity to jump out of a plane, like,
Look, I think more people have died climbing up Mount Everest than jumping out of a plane.
You're
also
probably
climbing
right.
Mount Everest, like, that's a big deal. Like, that takes
This
a month.
is-
Like,
yeah.
Preparation goes into that.
that's
We can just pay the money and
just
jump out
jump
of
out
a
of plane,
tomorrow.
like, done.
I mean, yeah.
And then
This
we're
is-
back to real life.
That's right.
All right.
No, I
All
can't
right.
do
Mount
Y'all-
Everest is ridiculous.
That's a long time.
You're talking about
Okay.
years.
The trek.
The trek, the gear you need.
That's expensive.
So expensive.
I've lost you guys. I've lost you.
You're like, you can't drink. There's no water up there. Like,
You got to take your own. There's a.
You gotta
pic-
take your
there's
own
a-
in the plane too. There's no fountain of water in
yeah,
the
but
plane.
it's only like 30 minutes.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay.
You
Okay.
can
Okay.
go 30
okay.
minutes without
Okay.
water.
You're
Did you ever
jumping out
heard
the
of
plane.
Green Boots?
Oh my gosh. What are
Green Boots is the guy that's frozen in the ice climbing up Mount Everest, and he has green boots on, and you can't get him down because he's up so high.
frozen, and he's
up
never
so high.
unfreezing.
No one can take the energy to get him back down.
Well,
I don't
think
wanna
it was
be
crazy.
Green
I
Boots.
watched somebody.
Maybe you need to take your airplane over to Green Boots.
No,
and-
it's just not
you
possible.
can't get-
Terrain's crazy.
Yeah, I watched a influencer climb Mount Everest, and I was very shocked about how they were getting sunburned in like at the top of a mountain because it's so close to the sun. And I was like, that's crazy. Not only are you dealing with you can't breathe, you can't drink water, there's no food, but now you're getting sunburned.
You're super dehydrated, which leads to the sunburn. Yeah.
That doesn't
and
sound fun.
UV is higher because you're closer.
Let's
Good
go.
thing we're jumping out of a plane, okay?
Thank
Moving
goodness.
on.
Thank goodness.
Do we have a parachute?
No parachute.
Oh.
I forgot to tell you.
That's fine too.
I mean,
Lisa,
yeah,
it's gonna be quick.
So quick.
It
so
won't be
much
the
quicker.
long, painful death of climbing the mountain.
All right. Are you drinking whole milk or 2% milk?
Whole
Whole
milk.
milk.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Okay. Snow White or Beauty and the Beast?
Beauty,
Beauty
and the Beast.
Beast.
All right. Well, that's all I got for you, folks. These two are one and the same. Okay, but really, thank you guys for being on episode 8. That was fun. Appreciate you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, good deal.
Fun.